Remember the Save the Children PSAs back when we were little kids?
Oh, sure. Sally
they would have
Struthers.
like the flies on the kid's face,
Yeah.
and he would be like, "Well, why can't the cameraman give him a sandwich?" And then he's like, "I got one piece of advice for everybody: move where the food is."
The joke, I don't know if it was him. I can't remember if this was his joke or something, but he's talking about sex all the time. The joke is, my wife told me to give her 12 inches and make it hurt. So I fucked her twice and hit her over the head with a brick. I think that was like that one.
So this is, we're basically going to go from one extreme to another because of how we're going to talk about it, where he is vulgar, he's crazy, he's screaming and yelling. And then we're going to show a couple examples a little bit later of what comedy is now. And the difference between 20 to 30 years is mind-blowing. And what people get butt hurt over. Nobody ever, like in the comedy world, Kennison is one of the top people.
Yeah.
And none of the comedians ever have a bad word to say about Kennison. Yeah, he's a wild man. Yes, he's a druggie, all this other stuff. They would say that, but they never had a bad thing. Nowadays, it's one of those things where it's like, well, he had a joke that was inappropriate. And it's like, Kennison's whole set was inappropriate. Like, what could you pick out that wasn't? Like him.
That's true.
Or dick and fart jokes or sex jokes or whatever it was.
People have seemed to lost the plot when it comes to the people doing the show. It's not their whole persona. Like in normal life, they're most likely not like that. But they see somebody like Sam Kinison screaming about this. Nowadays, if you saw that, they go, this guy's misogynist asshole, and they'd assume he's like that 24/7, which is ridiculous. Like he's putting on a show. You've got to, like I said, hyperbolic, use that word again. You've got to be like that.
Now, do you think it's because the parents grew up with people like Kennison, Dangerfield,
Red Fox,
a bunch of other comedians that were very good at what they did? They might have been out there, they might have been cussing and screaming. Do you think that the parents are overcompensating on the parenting side of things because of stuff like this, and that's why people have been really soft and real like, oh, you can't say that?
I do have a theory on that, but it actually extends out to other things other than comedy. I think lack of fathers in the household caused all this.
True, because I mean, Kennison in that 15-minute bit that we watched he's talking to dudes, talking to dads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, women in the crowd because there were women that loved Kennison, but he's talking about guys. He's talking to guys.
Yeah, even my own kids, who were mostly spent more time with their mom than me after the divorce and all that, but they're like soft, kind of. And I have to, especially the girls, I'm like, it's just a joke, hon. It's not, don't get offended by it. But,
it's almost like they think it's real, just like like an actor that's acting in a movie. There's a lot of people in the United States and other places that think it's real, that person is that person. Do you think that it's the same thing with comedians where they think it's that person, even though it's a bit? He could be the sweetest guys of cupcakes, but his act is just craziness. And people think that that's who he is.
I do think people think that way nowadays. Yep. You got to separate. Like, you can't separate. People can't separate the art from the artist. It's like, it's like even with music. If I didn't listen to musicians that have a different political opinion than I do, there'd be a lot of great music that I would miss out on, which is seems like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm like, don't.
Yeah, it's like, well, he looks at the world this way, and I don't agree, but I'm not going to discount like what he's done in the music business.
Yeah, there was also a little more mystery to celebrities back then. They were, I think, like take the Oscars for example. Like I used to watch the Oscars back when I was a kid because I wanted to see the stars.
It was like the
dressed up. Yeah, but now they're all over social media nonstop, and it's almost like people have a false sense of friendship with them. Parasocial, I think, is what they call it.
I think so. I've heard creators talk about it. I don't know a whole lot about that, but you're right. Where there's too much of a person out there now. Which who was I? I was watching Ben Affleck was talking about that on a podcast because he has his movie come out, Accountant 2. And he was talking about he's not a fan, is every time that the paparazzi gets him out in public, he seems like he's pissed off. Like there's that trope about him.
Mhm.
And he's like, because I am. He's like, I'm just not a type of person that likes to put myself out there. He's like, I'm an actor and it comes with the business of side of things, but he's like, I'm a private person who happens to love acting. I love doing what I'd like to do. But he's like, as far as like the public persona and putting myself out there, he's like, I don't like doing that. So he's like, every time somebody says you look pissed off, because I am pissed off. He's like,
well,
you know what I mean? Like,
the audience has the way I look at it is this: Ben Affleck or Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison. His job is to make you laugh. You pay $20, you watch the show. Either he makes you laugh or he doesn't, and that's the end of the relationship. As far you paid your money, you got what you paid for, and that's it. That doesn't give you the right to assume you're going to get any access to him after the show or in his home life. So I hear where Affleck's coming from. It must be frustrating for them.
Yeah, and then he was also talking about the suspension of disbelief is messed up because people know too much about someone. So if they're playing a character, you're thinking that Ben Affleck is this way when he's trying to play a character that's this way. So I was like, it's actually pretty insightful. Like,
I never thought of that. That's true.
I never thought about that. Where it's
so you're saying, you would go see a movie and go, well, that's not Ben Affleck that I know from social media all over the place.
Yep.
Oh.
So he was talking about he's not on social media, and a lot of the actors over 50 basically aren't really 45, 50 aren't really on social media because he said that very thing where it's like the suspension of disbelief. He's like, I don't want Ben Affleck playing this person. I want you to think that I am that person. You're suspending your disbelief, which I was like, that's actually pretty legit things, because it's like you don't really hear Ben Affleck talk a lot like in public. He doesn't really.
No, he's been on he was on a couple panel shows. I think Bill Maher's show he was on, and he kind of made an ass of himself.
Oh, did he?
Maybe he learned his lesson. So maybe I should just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
unless I'm in a movie.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but I thought that was pretty interesting how he put it, and it's like actually you're actually pretty spot on. Like I didn't think about it that way. You know what I mean? So. Okay, so this is gonna be another Kinison, and then we have some other we have some other clips and stuff that we could talk about. But like I said, I wanted to go from one extreme to another.
Yeah.
So this is Kinison's role in Back to School, and this classic. So it's like, okay, we got to play this.
Love that movie. Yeah.
And his being in Dangerfield's comedy club is this movie spawned off from that because obviously Dangerfield knew who he was, and
I love Dangerfield. He's 100% hit for me. Love his little short jokes, very self-effacing, hilarious dude.
And they were saying I was watching I can't remember who I was watching, and they were talking about Dangerfield like was the height of his success when he was older. Like he was like 50 or 55 when he was actually popular and people knew who he was. They said it was a struggle for him, a younger comic, where he just wasn't getting what he wanted out of things, and he stopped doing comedy for like 10 years and became like a siding like salesman or something like that.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, I never knew that he stopped doing comedy for like a long period of time. And then when he came back, it was different. Like, I don't know if he was more seasoned or what the deal was, or maybe he got bad advice when he was younger. I'm not quite sure. But I thought that was interesting where it's like he was a siding salesman and quit comedy for like 10 years.
I can't picture Rodney Dangerfield looking any way other than I remember him. I can't picture him as a young person. To me, he's always like that age in a suit, like an older.
Yeah. And I think that in the trope with where he always says I don't get any respect. No respect.
Yeah, with the tie.
Yeah. And I think he got that because of the struggles that he had as a young comic, not doing anything. Because he thought he was being disrespected, he wasn't getting opportunities, all that stuff,